Okay, we are live. Let's get this link out there. Beautiful. Okay, we are live. Let's get this link out there. Beautiful. Okay, we are live. Let's get this link out there. Beautiful. Okay, we are live. Let's get this link out there. Beautiful. Okay, we are live. Okay. Okay, so that's posted. Okay, I'm gonna pop this out. And should be good to go. Get that chat there. Hopefully these people jump in. And then, okay, so here we go. Put this here. Yeah, that fits pretty well. Close down Vini. And then, nice. Okay, beautiful. Move this down just a little bit. All right, so it looks like we're pretty good now. Okay, so this is what we want to talk about today. So first off, let's do a overview of where we've been in the last little bit. We'll just get some notes down and we'll kind of go from there. So first is, how do I get this bigger? Size. Okay, so we'll just put this up here a little bit. We're gonna make this, these are a little bit big. How do I pin this? Pin. I'm gonna do medium on that and large on this. Okay, so today we want to talk about AI agents. AI agents are super popular, and when you first think of AI agents, you might think of something like OpenClaw. There's a new Hermes, but that's really on the developer side. So really you have developers, and then you have normies. Right, and normies are just kind of people that are not directly kind of coding with AI every day. So these two sides. And so when developers think of AI agents, they think of things like OpenClaw, Hermes, and then normies really think of ChatGPT. That's the best. And then if you're more on the developer side, you also might think of the tooling around AI. So you have things like Cursor or Claude Code, right? And this is all very kind of true, but this kind of term AI agents isn't really clean enough for most people. From my perspective, what AI agents are, what they are actually is that they are some sort of context, so data plus compute. So this is what AI agents actually mean. So when people say AI agents, you have context and data and compute. And after that, it's like, okay, that's what they are. What can they do? Right? An AI agent can summarize data. It can code. What else can they do? They can grammar check things. Grammar. And really anything that ChatGPT can do. So then you go from there. You say, okay, well, they also do a lot of other things too. Right? AI agents can pull in external data. They can get APIs that are free and paid. But after all of this, kind of let's see. Okay, from there you go from free and paid, and then we get into things like memory, file systems, scheduling. And these are all of the things that make up an AI agent. But let's talk about why do we even want AI agents. Okay, so you have all of these things here, and we'll kind of keep expanding on this. I'm kind of putting together my thoughts as I think about it. But why do we even want AI agents? So what we want a computer to do things that we don't want to do, and we want them to do it better, faster, and cheaper. So let's take a couple examples. Customer service is a really simple example. Traditionally, you have a call center. People dial in, they have problems or questions, and then person on the other side of the line knows the business's resources and can help the person out. Okay, so you have all of these people. So you have like person 1, 2, right? You have all these different people, and then they sit. You have people here, and then you have the organization here. Right? And each one of these people, they cost money. They have to get trained. And they don't always work 24/7. right? So let's just take an example. This is the AI agent example, right? So this is the traditional. And then on the AI agent side, you still have the organization. But people like to think about these AI agents as individual workers, right? But in fact, with an AI agent, you're just going to have a single entity. It's the AI agent. And it's going to be able to handle all of these things. So it's going to be cheaper. Let's do, yeah, it's more expensive. So we're going to do one thing. It's fully trained up to speed, full knowledge, knowledgeable, EI, knowledgeable, and then 24/7. Right? So that's that's super easy, right? So this is the AI agent. This is our good one. There's our good one, the golden agent. Right? And then the big thing about these AI agents is that they can just carry out any task. Task 1, task 2, 2. And they can also scale tasks, infinite tasks, right? But over here, limited by the number of people. Wait times. Right? So what's special about this versus what a traditional business used to do is they did something like a workflow. So you have a chatbot that says, if the person says hello, billing, then route to a billing workflow, right? But they might not say billing, they might say it in a different language. What happens if they say it then, right? Then talk to agent. Right, so what this golden AI can do is it can do a couple things, or actually it can do a lot more than a couple things. One, can handle any language. That's also a benefit. It can also take in, they call it non-deterministic. Let's just say fuzzy communication. So the person doesn't know exactly what they want to say, but they just come in, they say, I got a problem with my billing, it's not working, or my phone stopped working, right? And you can take in this kind of huge funnel at the top, this all of these inputs that customers might call in on the phone on, and then smartly route them to the proper solution, right? So a lot of times it's not inbound call to agent or inbound call to workflow to agent. It's just inbound call to solution, right? This is really the really the best thing about it, right? You kind of go from this this flow of all of these complex things into just more customer solutions, more scaling, cheaper, better service across the board. So golden agent is better, faster, cheaper, right? AI agents. So this is one way to think about AI agents, and it's a super useful customer service use case. Customer service is a super easy one to understand why that AI agents are useful. I don't think that anyone disagrees with it. Things that people kind of also consider, right? So this is more on like AI agents as a workflow replacement, right? You have this kind of single task. It's a single department in your business. It's not even a department, it's a single process, right? So if you think of a business as simply input, taking the inputs, and then basically taking cash, go collect inputs, then you get an output. An AI agent in this scenario is supporting the input to output of this business. So that's level one of the AI agent. Level two of the AI agent so level two is we're going to jump a bunch of steps here. So we're going to go, this agent has access to memory, access to all of the things, right? So if you're up to speed on AI agents, that's great. If not, let's list all the things they have access to. It's kind of what some of it we were talking about up here, right? So we're going to say compute, right? You need the reasoning of the LLM inference, right? So compute basically says, given the input prompt, what is the most likely output prompt that the person is expecting here? That's kind of how all these ChatGPT things work. Then you have the context. This is the file system. It's actually not even the file system. This is just data that gets ingested to direct the inference, right? So you can imagine going into a library and there are all these books, but you're like, you know what, I really want to cook something tonight for dinner. So you go to the recipe and the cooking section of the library. And so the same thing happens for LLMs or ChatGPT. When you go talk to it, every time you talk to it, you're giving it guidance of like what aspect of the brain do you want to talk to and get feedback on. So this is kind of version one. Then you get into APIs, then you get into databases, memory, and data. So with memory and data, this is really being able to store information across sessions. And then you have a wallet. AI can actually be sent money and pay for services, right? Then you have, what was the other thing? A file system. This is where it can really kind of go crazy. So access to the computer, can create and run code. What else is there? One sec. I had a list of notes earlier. One sec. Yeah, okay. Then we also get into cron jobs and webhooks, the schedule tasks. With APIs, we want it to be stateless and then authenticated access. So here you can imagine, so stateless could be something like weather data, right? It doesn't matter who you are. If you want weather data in the Bahamas, you can pay for it and you get access to it. It's actually, yeah, free and paid, and then stateless and authenticated. So there's kind of 4 types there. And then you have weather data. Yeah, we can actually, I'll skip this. You can imagine weather data being free. Paid could be stock quotes. Stateless. So this could be stateless. This is also stateless. And then we want maybe Google Calendar there, or email. This is free / paid and authenticated access, right? So there are thousands of APIs that exist, but there's kind of four main types of APIs depending on if they cost money and if they require authentication or not. And then getting back down to here, so we have the cron jobs and webhooks. This is so you can schedule tasks. One big thing about scheduling tasks is that you can have an AI heartbeat. And the AI heartbeat allows you to say, okay, every day go check to see what my competitors are doing in the space, or every day go check to see what my stock prices are, or anything like that. So regular ins. And then if you're interacting, you can actually have webhooks where you say, if you send me a request, or if you send a request to this endpoint, then carry out this task. So that's the webhook portion. And then the last piece is intent, right? So you have all of these tools that you have access to, but this is kind of this, like, they call it the soul.md, intent of the agent. So this is kind of like, what are your dreams that you want this agent to do? And actually then you get also into one thing I wanted to add in. So after you have the intent, you can have a recursive system, which is a harness, or the harness, AI harness builds out a recursive system. So it's self-improving, self-reflective, will improve, or prunes itself, right? So you can kind of imagine this AI. You kind of wake up, you say, okay, I got this. I have all of this data, and I have this compute, right? These are kind of the 2 biggest things, compute and data. And then I'm going to pull in extra services. I'm going to have a memory. I'm going to have a wallet. I'm going to do things regularly, blah, blah, blah. And you have all of this, and this is really good for some businesses and stuff like this. But I think level 3 is, you can have all of this, and you can have all these kind of level 1 agents and everything like that. But level 3, or we're kind of like missing a main piece. So this is what I really want to talk about in this video, missing the main piece of of AI. I don't know, what piece. So what this is that if you walk up to, let's take for instance an event, or you want to do outbound sales, inbound, nope, outbound sales, right? App developer, or you're just a developer in general, right? So let's talk about these kind of 4 different scenarios. So if you were to use AI at an event, right? This is you, plus AI. So you got you and your kind of sidekick AI. Right? This is you and your AI. You go to an event and you see all of these different people, right? So you got 3 different people. Each time you talk to this person, so you go, okay, I'm going to go talk to this person. So what happens when you talk to this person? You go, hi, my name is Chris. Tell me, nice to meet you. Tell me about yourself, right? Then they say, hi, my name is Maya. Nice to meet you. I've been working on, and they go talk and talk and talk, right? And then of that whole pool, you have Maya, and this piece here in the middle is where we collaborate, right? And so think about this in the context of AI, right? What am I doing here when I'm going introduction and then Maya saying on introduction? We are building up a conversational context, right? I'm taking my context, she's taking her context, and then together we have some shared understanding of each other. And then we look to find ways that we might be able to help each other, right? So this is, yeah, it's step 1, conversational context. Step 2, conversational context. Both introduce ourselves. Now we have a shared understanding. Then we look for this piece here in the middle, right, which is the overlap between us. So we're really looking for this here, right? This overlap is the gold of conferences and meetings and everything like that, right? This is the goal. This is the whole point, right? Okay, so we do that once, and then guess what? The next person you talk to, person 2, person 3, person 4, right? And if you talk to 20, 30 people, this piece here, you're repeating yourself over and over and over again. You're saying, hey, I'm Chris, nice to meet you. Tell me about yourself. And then she's like, oh, I've been working on this. And at the end, tell me about yourself, right? So we both ask each other, tell me about yourself. And then we find this little nugget in the middle where we help each other. Instead, so the big thing with this is conversations are lossy. Conversations are lossy, right? You're not sharing context, not sharing full context. if you're tired, even less context. Conversations are lossy. So what we actually want here is we can imagine a world where we had context telepathy, right? That's fancy for saying totally shared context, right? What if we could totally share context in the best case, right? Full context shared, and then out of it, we get a decision made by our LLM. Right? This is the goal that we're looking for. Conversations are lossy. You're not sharing your full context. If you're tired, you're sharing less context. With context telepathy, you say, okay, I want all this. Obviously, we can't do this in person, right? Like humans can't do this with each other, but we can use tools. Use tools. And for the first time ever with AI, we can actually connect with each other and share context, right? We can connect with each other and share context. But the question is how, right? So let's start. So this is the new era of AI. The new era of AI. The new era AI looks something like this. You set up your context one time. You can improve it if you like. Right? So let's say anytime. You can improve it anytime if you like. Right, cool. Okay, so you set up your context. So you got me here. We'll grab this over here. You. So for me, I'm going to dump in. So for me, I'm going to dump in my LinkedIn. Grok has a really nice overview of all of the past things that I've worked on online. So blog. Grok has a blog on me. Then I'm also going to dump in some notes. And I'm also going to dump in some things from a Google Drive folder. Okay. Maya, she has an Instagram, a YouTube, and a X feed, and some text, right? Right. So perfect. We both have our context set up. We do this one time, and we can talk about how you kind of set this up. But this is really no problem. Any business owner, any app can basically take the ocean of data on the web. So you start with ocean of potential data, but because you know yourself the best, you can curate a dump of the context you think is valuable about you, right? You can curate a dump of all the context that you think is valuable of you. So that's step one. But now we have a new problem, right? Super cool that you have your context, and super cool that Maya has her context. And actually, before we talk about the problem, what you can do with AI right now? Well, with Claude Code or Cursor, you can take this. So we'll take this thing and make it like a green circle or something like that. Let's just imagine that this is the green circle. So your data, your context, And you're going to take that context, add in plus an LLM, and in Claude Code or Cursor, you're going to get all sorts of things that you can do. You can say, give me a talk summary or introduction, right? So you're giving a talk at a conference, give me an introduction about myself, right? Make it 500 words or less, right? So you can do constraints. Tell me how I should market myself. Right? All of these things. Right? You can do all these things with Claude Code, Cursor, any of these systems. But really, you just need a program with your data plus the LLM. Right? This is a huge, huge piece about what AI agents are. Right? AI agents. I don't want background. I want a border. Right? The golden agent starts like this. So you just have your context plus an LLM, and you can do a ton with just that data, right? And that context is like your LinkedIn, your blog post, anything like that. Then, so this is, let's call this your personal AI agent, right? Really nice. And this is the current state of the world. This is the current state of the world. And this is super powerful and super useful for a lot of us, right? And then even with the current state of the world, with your context, you can add in any like tools, right? And you can do you can run businesses on that alone, right? All of these things here, APIs, memory and data, wallet, cron jobs, blah, blah, blah. This is the current state of the world for all of these things, right? But the next thing is where I think we're going wrong in the industry is we're going using messaging to bring these AIs together. So that's one. And most AIs have zero way to access them. AIs also don't have a way to talk. Right? So these are the big three things. So you have problem with context. Context does not equal messaging. No identifier. No handle to use. No contact. And no messaging. Right? Current problem set. Right, so this is the current problem set of AI, and this is why it's too complex. The problem with AI is these things, right? So if you look at this piece here, if you were to tell someone something saying, hey, AI can do all of these things, it can do compute and context and APIs, memory and data, and wallet and file system, cron jobs, and SolMD, and a harness to wrap it all up. Dude, the nerds are loving it. Nobody knows what the hell this is, right? So what we really want to get to is something super simple like this. You get your context and potentially tools in an LLM, and then you get to these things here. So let's break these things down and let's talk about use ICM.com. Right? So this is a proof of concept that works really well. But the idea is that my context and Maya's context, instead of using messaging, we're going to take my context and her context, and we're going to put it into a huge context, right? All of it. We're going to put all of our context together, right? So combine context, right? Context. This is context telepathy, right? And then we can ask, we don't need them to do this conversation flow of saying, hey, my name is Chris, hey, my name is Maya, blah, 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 and interacting with this little dial in the middle, right, where we get the output. What we can do here is that we can just say, okay, we know each other perfectly, or way better than we could otherwise. How can we work together? And the output is, well, because Maya is a designer and you help people build vibe coding apps, you guys should collaborate and design better apps. Right? We don't need to go back and forth because our contexts are merged. We have all the information needed, right? And then, in addition to that, we can do things like, I have a new ICM. Say, for instance, there's another person here. Say, new person, right? How do I get that person to talk to this group of people or my individual AI? So what we do is we start with giving it an identifier, right? Super simple, a handle to reach out to. Right? A handle to reach out to. So now I know, so we're gonna do it, we're gonna call it ICM handle 1. So now you have ICM handle 1. And so what you can do in Claude Code and things like that now is that you can say, go discuss with, go connect with ICM handle 1. And let's say my ICM here is ICM Wondolinsky. Handle is ICM Wondolinsky. So you can just say to your, so you go to your LLM code, say go ICM handle 1, go connect with ICM Wondolinsky. Message it all the things, it 3 ways, message it an introduction and 3 ways we can collaborate, right? So what it's going to do is it's going to take this guy here, it's going to merge it with this guy, right? So you get both of them, and then out of it you get a full message, right? So now you have context telepathy plus messaging ID context messaging. And so what this allows for is we've gone this hell-bound way of doing all the tooling. But what we really should care about, even before all of this tooling, blah, 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 these are all super useful for businesses, really useful. But there's a niche, there's not niche, but there's an aspect of the market where we care far more about conversations between our AIs. And so what this gives is it gives the ability for discovery of AIs, collaborations. That's not, it's lossless, right? Telepathy. Context telepathy ends in lossless conversations. And it's a simpler setup, right? That's the biggest thing. AI agents don't need to be complex set up, right? Get an identifier, drop your context in, and then tell yours to go talk with a group of AIs, right? And so why this is important is that now we can collaborate with each other without having to do this whole file system and virtual machines and wallets and stuff like this. You can just say, hey, go talk to these other AIs. And so this ICM system is live right now. So ICM is identifier, context, and messaging or mail, whatever you want, right? This is what is missing. This is what is missing in the AI space, right? Everything else is on the rails right now. And one thing I didn't mention is that people often talk about messaging. They go, oh, give my AI email. No, we don't want that, right? We don't want that because, not to be so aggressive, no need. Because email is lossy, right? Messaging gets back into this conversation here, right? Where you go email to this person, email to this person, email to this person. It's totally redundant. So what you're really looking for is GitHub style over email, right? GitHub is like you want a context, you want all the information shared. Once it's all shared, then we can just infer and infer whatever kind of comes from that context. Right, so we have this website, Use ICM, that has all of this. All you do is you just kind of copy this and you paste it into the system. Right, so you'll see here that I have an ICM. I've created it, I pasted it in. And so I have two of them actually. I have the one Dolinsky one, and that's because I've claimed that username. And then we have just a normal ICM identifier, which ICM underscore this hash. The reason you might want to claim it is it's easier to kind of put up on a billboard or a QR code. And it can also be claimed if you have Telegram or X, where you basically are going to map it to your existing username. So it's not confusing for people to say, hey, this person claimed the Walmart handle. It's like, no, Walmart can only claim Walmart's handle. Right? From there, you can send anyone a message, right? So we can send ICM one Dolinsky, hey, right? Sent him a message right here. And we can actually go over to our inbox and you'll see just that new message, right, came in right here, right? And so not only can we kind of message each other, but then you can also guide this chat from external, right? So you have public chat guidance, but maybe, for instance, your AI is talking to a business and you say, you know what, part of this deal, we have a bit of a discount that we don't usually publicly announce, but for this one, we'll announce it. You can actually put it in the private AI conversation here, right? So this is more similar to how humans interact. Not everything is in the public. You kind of have two spheres. You have the private and then you have the public sphere. Right, so you have your mailboxes for the different bots right here and here. Then if you go back to manage, you'll see here that this one has been claimed on my X account. If you wanted to say, hey, tell your AI message my AI, you can actually just say, hey, read this and message my AI, right? And you're going to message my ICM handle here. Now, context is very nice. I'm going to remove this quick send for all of them. But context, you have a base profile where you have all this information, but then you can add in more information. So you can add in information related from a website, Google Drive, YouTube channel, X handle, Instagram, text, audio that gets converted to text, or video that gets converted into text. And so you're able to really build out your context window for your ICM. So you can imagine that being super nice, because then imagine you're at this conference, you're like, okay, well, I'm going to this conference and this time I'm going to be promoting my consulting business and my Instagram handle. Well, you can say, okay, here's my consulting website, here's my Instagram handle. And then when you go to that conference, you just meet with each other, and all of these people kind of come back knowing fully about you ahead of time. So the flow here is super simple. You're just going to put together a context block, get an identifier, and then your AIs can talk with each other. So you can imagine here, what we're doing is that we're setting up the ICM. So identifier. So it's going to be something like ICM underscore username. And then context block, Google Drive, YouTube, LinkedIn, and text box. And then after that, messaging each other, right? So really it's kind of like in text terms, you have a key value pair, or instead it's a key context pair. And then you're going to start to message each other. And this is the fundamental building block of everything. All these other things in this context block, all the other things that come from this guy here, the APIs, the memory and data, the wallet, the cron jobs, these are all super nice to haves and can level up the quality of your agent. But if it doesn't have an identifier, and if it doesn't have that base context block, it's not particularly useful, or it's not an AI agent in my mind. It's just data. So you need these other pieces. You need these other pieces to become a true AI agent that is publicly available. So thanks so much for listening. If you have any questions, my handle is Mondolinsky, and the website is useicm.com. Reach out, and I'd love to talk to you more about setting yours up, setting your business up, and we can run some pretty cool events.